Hey there, everybody, and welcome to another video. It's good to see you all today. Today we will be taking a look at the life of the macho man Randy Savage, who was one of the most flamboyant wrestlers of the 70s and 80s. There was no heights that Randy couldn't reach. He was, as he said, too hot to handle and too cold to hold. One-time WWF Intercontinental Champion, two-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion. In 1987, he was crowned King of the Ring. In 2015, he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as part of the class of 2015. He received recognition from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. His match against Ricky Steamboat at WrestleMania 3 in 1987 was named Match of the Year. In 1992, he was awarded the title of Most Unimproved. Let's delve into the life and tragic ending to one of the biggest mega superstars of professional wrestling. I welcome you to the tragic tale of Randy Macho Man Savage. Randy Mario Poffo was born on November 15, 1952 in Columbus, Ohio. He was the firstborn child to Judy and Angelo Poffo, who also had another son, Lanny. Although wrestling wasn't his first choice of sport, as he was a tremendous baseball player in his teens. He was put to the minor leagues at 18 years old, where he played for the Gulf Coast League Cardinals. It was said that he had to retrain to play left-handed when he got injured in his right-hand side throwing shoulder after a collision at the home plate. He would continue to play in the minor leagues until 1974, when he played his last season. By the time he finished up, he had 16 home runs under his belt with 289 games over 4 years. It wouldn't be long before he was introduced to the world of wrestling and give up altogether on the field of baseball, as it was during his off-season in baseball in 1973 that he broke into the wrestling business, wrestling under the name of the Spider, but later took the name Randy Savage after Ole Anderson said he wrestled like a savage. Randy decided then to end his stalled baseball career and join his brother Lanny and father Angelo Poffo, who was a well-known wrestler from the 50s and 60s. His first match was against Golden Boy Paul Christie, but generally wrestled with his father and brother. In 1977, Angelo started his own promotion called ICW, or International Championship Wrestling. He started this promotion because he felt his two sons weren't getting the push he felt they deserved. The Mid-American States promotion ran from 1978 to 1984. Randy would join Jerry the King Lawler's promotion in Memphis with his brother Lanny for a stint while he honed his craft, while feuding with Jerry the King Lawler over the AWA Southern Heavyweight Championship. Randy would also team up with brother Lanny against the likes of the Rock and Roll Express. Early in 1985, Randy would begin this feud again with the King over the title once again before having a loser leaves town on June 7, 1985. Randy lost this match, meaning he would have to leave town. This then allowed him to join Vince McMahon's WWF in 1985, where he would begin his most notable run. In July of that year, he would have his debut against Aldo Marino on the July 6th episode of Championship Wrestling. He would be billed as the top free agent in the country on his first appearance on Tuesday Night Titans, which featured several heel managers including Mr. Fuji and Bobby the Brain Heenan, Classy Freddie Blassie, and Johnny Valiant, whom were all offering their services to Savage. After several appearances and many offers, he eventually chose Miss Elizabeth to be his new manager on the August 24th episode of Championship Wrestling. He was given the gimmick of a crazed, egotistical bully, where he would mistreat Miss Elizabeth constantly and God help anyone who looked at her. Randy would have his first pay-per-view at the Wrestling Classic on November 7th. The promotion's second ever pay-per-view after WrestleMania in 1985 in a 16-man tournament. He would make it to the final after defeating Ivan Putski, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and the Dynamite Kid, before finally being defeated himself by the Junkyard Dog. Later that year, he would begin a feud with the then Intercontinental Champion Tito Santana, where he would win via countout, meaning Santana would keep the belt, as you could only win by pinfall or submission on an episode of Saturday Night's Main Event. Savage would later win the Intercontinental Championship at the Boston Garden from Santana when he used a foreign object to nail him in the head as Santana tried to lift Savage back into the ring from outside. Because the ref never saw it, he got the win and giving him his first WWF Championship title. Around this time, George the Animal Steele would take a rather unsettling fancy to Miss Elizabeth at a Saturday Night Main Event show, causing Savage to go crazy with jealousy. This would continue all the way to a WrestleMania 2 match with Steele on April 7, 1986, where Savage would defeat Steele in an Intercontinental Championship match. He would later have 2 more championship matches against Steele, winning both and retaining the title. His next feud would be with one of the company's top babyfaces, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, when Savage would crush Steamboat's throat against a guardrail in October, causing him to be out for some time, before returning in time for WrestleMania 3 in March 1987. This was a well-detailed match by a man who liked to pay attention to detail. There was 19 near falls before Savage eventually lost the match to Steamboat, which ended in Steamboat coming out on top and ending the near 14-month reign as Intercontinental Champion. This match at WrestleMania 3 was well laid out and every detail was precise, just the way Savage liked it. This was around the same time Savage liked to experiment with different types of costumes that he used to get made by a designer from Florida called Michael Braun. Savage and Steamboat would continue to have a feud on the house shows, even competing in a steel cage. He would win the King of the Ring tournament in 1987, and despite the company pushing him as a heel, the majority of the fans just absolutely loved this man, so the WWF had no choice but to turn him babyface. Around this time, he would begin a feud with the Honky Tonk Man because Honky was declaring that he was the greatest ever Intercontinental Champion of all time. This would lead to a match for the title on October 3, 1987's episode of Saturday Night Main Event. Despite trying his best, he would lose this opportunity because of outside interference by the Hart Foundation. Although winning the match, Honky would keep the title. During the beating by Honky, Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart, Miss Elizabeth would run to the back for help, bringing out Hulk Hogan of all people to assist Savage. After clearing the ring, Hogan and Savage would shake hands and begin their run as the Mega Powers, cementing Savage as a babyface in the process. The Mega Powers would go on to have one of the most memorable tag teams in the history of wrestling despite only actually being together for 1 year. Their first match together would be on a house show in Vancouver on November 10, 1987, where they would team up with Hacksaw Jim Duggan in a six-man match against Ravishing Rick Rude, Harley Race, and King Kong Bundy, where they would come out on top and win the match. They would then go on to have a dark match on January 5, 1988, in Huntsville, Alabama, in a handicap match against Honky Tonk Man and the Hart Foundation, again picking up the win. They would again have another six-man, where Ricky the Dragon Steamboat would join them, where on February 8, 1988, where they would again pick up the win against Honky Tonk Man and the Hart Foundation. This feud would continue into early 1988, having a 5 against 5 in the first ever annual Survivor Series and a couple other matches. Getting into 1988 now, and Savage would have a singles match against the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase on the March 12, 1988 episode of Saturday Night's Main Event, where he would be counted out due to Andre the Giant, who was accompanying DiBiase along with Virgil, slamming him into the corner post while the referee was incapacitated. When the ref came to, Savage was counted out. Hulk Hogan would be the one to rescue Savage from the trio, sparking the Mega Powers' first feud. After Hulk Hogan lost the title when he and Andre the Giant had a match on February 5, 1988 episode of Saturday Night Main Event due to DiBiase buying off the referee Dave Hebner's twin brother Earl. He would pose as Dave and making a very fast 3 count on Hogan. After winning Hogan's belt, Andre would immediately hand it over to DiBiase and declaring himself the champion. WWF President Jack Tunney was having none of it though, and instead of handing the title back to Hogan, he would declare that there would be a 14-man tournament at WrestleMania 4 to crown a new champion. He would give Hogan and Andre a bye into the second round, but everyone else would have to start at round 1. Savage would get to the final round after going up against the Natural Butch Reed in the first, Greg the Hammer Valentine in the second, and the One Man Gang in the third. Making it all the way to his 4th match of the night, he would go up against no other than the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. Andre kept annoying Savage from the outside and not letting him concentrate on the task at hand, so Miss Elizabeth ran backstage to get Hogan's help. Hulk eventually come out and quickly evened up the odds, and as soon as the ref's back was turned, he crept into the ring and struck DiBiase and he back with a chair, leaving him a crumpled mess in the middle of the ring. Savage quickly realized what had happened, so he got up onto the top rope to give his signature flying elbow, pinning the $1 Million Man for the 3 count and becoming the undisputed WWF World Heavyweight Champion. Over the next year, he would defend the title against the likes of Big Boss Man, One Man Gang, and even Andre the Giant, where he would successfully retain on each occasion. At the same time, Savage and Hogan would still be feuding with the Mega Bucks, DiBiase, and Andre, where they would eventually defeat on the new pay-per-view called SummerSlam. Jesse Ventura would be the special guest referee for this one, and he was on the side of the heel team, the Mega Bucks. This was the occasion when the Mega Powers would bring a special weapon to ringside, but it wasn't known what that was. Near the end of the match, Miss Elizabeth got up onto the apron and whisked away her skirt to reveal nothing but a skimpy red pair of panties. The heels were stunned by this, and this allowed the Hogan to get back in the ring and pin DiBiase as Savage pushed Jesse Ventura to the mat and made him make the pin. Once that feud was over, the Mega Powers began a feud with the Twin Towers, consisting of the Big Boss Man and Akeem, who was the former one-man gang. This feud ran all the way to the second annual Survivor Series on November 24, 1988. They had a 5-on-5 match with the Mega Powers finally being victorious. This was the start of the jealousy creeping in, as Savage thought Hogan was showing too much attention towards Miss Elizabeth. This was frustrating Savage, but he kept his cool for now. It didn't help when Miss Elizabeth started managing Hogan as well, and when Savage was accidentally eliminated by Hogan in the January 15, 1989 pay-per-view The Royal Rumble. The last match that the Mega Powers were in was on February 3, 1989, episode of the main event where they faced the Twin Towers again. At one point in the match, Miss Elizabeth got injured as Savage hit her when he was thrown over the top rope to the floor. While Hogan lifted Miss Elizabeth and carried her in his arms, he left Savage to take a beating until Hogan got back to the ring. Savage was so furious that he slapped Hogan when Hogan tried to make a tag. Backstage, Savage attacked Hogan with the championship title, accusing him of lusting after Miss Elizabeth. Brutus the Barber Beefcake tried to intervene and protect his friend before security ran in to separate everyone. This was a definite heel turn for Savage before the April 2, 1989 pay-per-view, WrestleMania 5. Savage would drop the belt to Hogan at the event, ending his 371-day reign with the championship. This match was spectacular, and even though Savage was actually injured at the time. Well, that's all for part 1. I hope you have been enjoying the video. Part 2 will be out soon, so stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.